everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the winter campaign in Arkham Horror, the card game. In this video, we're going to actually wrap the winter campaign, because Nathaniel ended up picking up his third trauma of the campaign, and with my house rule around trauma, when an investigator picks up 3, I start considering wrapping the campaign early. Between the 3 trauma and the fact that the campaign has not been going very well at all, I'm going to wrap this campaign early. So in this outro video, the way I do it is I'll talk a little bit about the campaign itself, give my general thoughts on it, then I'll talk about each investigator and how happy I was with their decks and what I would have done differently. So let's start with some thoughts on the campaign itself. As a whole, in this particular run of the Innsmouth Conspiracy, we only got through 3 scenarios, as we picked up at least 1 trauma in every single scenario. Nathaniel ended up with 2 physical and a mental, and Akachi ended up with 1 of each. So the scenarios were not going well for us at all. But in terms of the campaign itself, if I had to make a list of the campaigns in the game and rank them all, this one would probably be near the bottom of the list, if not the bottom of the list. A couple things that bother me about this campaign are the unspent experience can be a little bit confusing in terms of making you sit on experience for a little while longer. And related to that, this campaign is very much told in a lot of flashback stories. It feels very disjointed to me, where all of a sudden we're in one scenario, you're in present day, another one you're 6 weeks earlier, another one you're back to present day for a couple, then 5 weeks earlier. It's very much a disjointed mess, and it does fit with the memory structure of it, trying to regain your memory of everything going on. But I just didn't like the disjointed nature of the campaign. That definitely bothered me a bit. I mentioned in the end of December recap, the original plan for this campaign was I was going to do what I called a chronologically accurate Innsmouth Conspiracy campaign, where what I wanted to do was I wanted to do the campaign basically from the flashback sequence all the way to present day and be able to spend the experience in that way, but I couldn't make it work. Another thing that I didn't like about this campaign was that everything turns pretty much on that first scenario. The chaos bag actually starts off very punishing, and if you're not able to do well in that first scenario, you're not really going to have too many opportunities to really get the bag to be more forgiving, so you're going to have a lot of problems throughout the campaign, especially when you're having to fight with the bag a lot more. So, just some thoughts on the Innsmouth Conspiracy as a campaign in general, and why I didn't like it personally. That's not to say it's a bad campaign at all, far from it. It just didn't work for me in this case. But that's it for my general thoughts on the campaign. Now let's talk about the investigators, and we'll say hello first to Akachi. When I come out of the first scenario of a campaign and immediately want to blow the deck up and start over, I know I'm much more likely to have an early campaign ending than a happy one. Coming out of the first scenario, I definitely wanted to blow Akachi's deck up and start over. Part of the problem for me is whenever I play Mystics, I tend to play Mystics as monster punchers rather than as clue gatherers. And for me at least, without having access to the secret cards, Mystics just don't work as clue gatherers. I may come back to the idea of a Mystic as a cluver in the spring campaign, but we'll see more about that, because I'm not worrying about the spring campaign for a few months. In case you haven't guessed it by now, I was not happy at all with Akachi's build. Again, wanting to blow it up and start over was not a very helpful thing for this campaign. But she needed a lot more clue gathering abilities, and part of the problem I had was I was relying on her signature asset, the Spirit Speaker, to be able to help me reset those charges on Clairvoyance, but I didn't have a way to be able to search for it. The Arcane Initiate was a way to search out spells, but the Spirit Speaker isn't a spell, so I wasn't able to grab it out of the deck that way. Word of Command, a later upgrade, wouldn't have been able to go grab it either, so relying on a card that I need to see in my opening hand, basically, and not having a way to search it out was definitely a problem. I'm probably going to stick to Mystics as monster punchers, unless I get somebody like a Luke in front of me, where I build him as where I could probably build him as a Clover, but still be able to defend himself. Anyway, that will do it for Akachi. Now let's move over to Nathaniel. Investigators don't come much more single-minded and smash-mouthed than Nathaniel. I was very happy with the way his deck was going. He was able to take out some of the tougher enemies pretty much all by himself, where he was able to deal a lot of damage very quickly, including with that Innsmouth Shoggoth when we spawned it on turn 1 in Too Deep. I was actually pretty happy with the build I had for Nathaniel, and I was probably going to keep him on the path. I might have needed to dip him into a bit more clue gathering just to be able to help Akachi out a little bit. But being that he's a straight Guardian and all neutral, and Guardian mostly doesn't gather clues, there probably wouldn't have been too many options for me to gather clues. Maybe upgraded evidence. I think there's Scene of the Crime that lets you get clues. Greta Wagner would have been helpful to see, but again, same problem with Akachi needing to search out her Spirit Speaker. There are ways to go searching for allies, but I don't think they're in Guardian. They're probably more in neutral, I would think. But admittedly, that's me being not as familiar with the neutral or Guardian card pools, for that matter, as I am with Mystic. But that's it for the thoughts on the investigators. Now let's move back up top for the final campaign outro. And with that, the winter campaign for 2024 comes to a close. Sometimes it's a short campaign, but that's just how it goes, especially when you get the investigators so roughed up that they can't really continue. Yes, this was obviously my bad for building the decks, but I wanted to try something different with a Mystic as a Clover, but I think Akachi was the wrong Mystic to try this with. I may come back to a different Mystic as a Clover during the spring campaign, but again, there's a lot of time between now and then, so I'm also going to need backup content for the next few weeks because I was expecting the next few Sundays to be tied up in the winter campaign, but obviously that's not going to happen now. So, as far as what's coming up on the channel is concerned, Wednesday we're playing Mag 23 Guadalcanal from Historic Wings, say that 5 times fast. Saturday we're making the last recipe in the Cooking with Deadpool cookbook for Mystical Munchies, as we're making Desert Chimney. Next week, we'll be playing something. I haven't decided what yet. I might know by the time Mag 23 Guadalcanal goes up, but if I don't by then, I'll know for sure when Mystical Munchies goes live. So stay tuned for the next couple of videos while I figure out what I'm playing on Sunday. Thank you for watching this video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.